In day one, we looked at a bunch of lists of numbers, and you were asked to find the next three terms in each list, so you had to look for patterns. How do you find the next three terms? You had to put them in groups and be able to explain how you grouped them the way that you did. So that will lead into today, which we're going to look at two specific types of sequences and how they're used in different ways to write them. So a few terms or a few definitions that you need to know. Number one is a sequence is an ordered list of numbers. So these lists of numbers called sequences. A term is each number in the list. So the first term is the first number, the second term is the second number, and so on. So terms are numbers in the list. So here's the warm-up. Can you find the next three terms in each sequence? So in sequence A, we have 31, 39, 47, 55. And in sequence B, we have 8,000, 4,000, 2,000. And can you figure out the next three terms? So I'll give you some time to think about that. So in sequence A, the next three terms would be 63, 71, and 79. And in sequence B, it would be 1,000. Here, let me change the thickness of my pen. 500 and 250. All right, so I might ask you, how did you find those terms? So if you notice in sequence A, we're just adding 8 to each number to find the next number. And then in sequence B, we can say we're multiplying by 0.5, or you can say we're dividing by 2. So today you'll be asked to look at different sequences and find terms and be able to tell, like, how did you get to the next term? So the next three sequences are called arithmetic. What do you think makes a sequence arithmetic? So let's just see, like, how do we get from one number to the next? So in the first one, it looks like we're adding 2 each time to get to the next term, and that works for all of the numbers in the list. In B, it looks like we're subtracting 1. And in C, it looks like we're subtracting 8. Okay, so these are all arithmetic. It says an arithmetic sequence has a common difference. A common difference is what you add or subtract to get to the next term. And you can say subtract, but subtract is adding a negative, right? Subtracting is adding a negative. Okay, so a common difference is what you add every time, or each time you could say, to get the next number in the list. I'll put the next term. All right, so if you're adding or subtracting the same number every time to get the next number in the list, that's considered an arithmetic sequence, arithmetic add. And notice you can add a negative. And it has to be that same number every time. So B, can you find the common difference? So what's the number we're adding or subtracting to find the next number in the list below? So if we take a look at B, we're adding 5 each time. There's 2 B's, so this should be A. In this B, it looks like we're subtracting. So we can just take 96 minus 84. Okay, so we're subtracting 12 each time. Or adding a negative 12, but we'll put subtracting 12. And then in this one right here, the numbers are going up, so we have to figure out, it looks like we're adding 0.15 every time. Okay, so it says, how can you find the common difference of an arithmetic sequence? And ignore these numbers right here because they're not arithmetic. Okay, so one easy way to figure out that this common difference was 5 is just take any number and subtract the one before it. And that works here as well. If you take 84 minus 96, you get that common difference of negative 12. Okay, so again, if you take any number and subtract the one before it, here it works as well. 0.85 minus 0.7 equals your common difference of 0.15. So an easy way to find the common difference, I might shortcut that to CD, common difference, is to take any number and subtract the number before it. And that will give you the common difference. Okay, so arithmetic, to summarize, are these lists of numbers, these sequences that you add the same number every time to get the next number, and adding can include adding a negative. All right, to find the common difference, which is that number you're adding every time, just take any number and subtract the one before it, and that will give you the common difference. All right, the following sequences can be defined as geometric. What makes a sequence geometric? And that's where I was supposed to put these numbers right here. So I'm going to highlight now the numbers that we'll look at. So A, 2, 4, 8, 16. B is 9, negative 18, 36, negative 72. And C is 200, 150, and 25. Those are all geometric. What do you think makes a sequence geometric? Okay, and if you notice, how can you get from a 2 to a 4, to an 8, to a 16? In that case, we're multiplying. So here's times 2 to get to the next term. I'm just going to write the rule here, right? Times 2 to get to the next term. Here, we're multiplying by negative 2. And in this rule, we're multiplying by 0.5. You might see it also as divide by 2. But a geometric sequence is something that has a common ratio. And a common ratio is a number you multiply by to get the next term. All right, so this number you multiply by to get to the next term. And so again, in this sequence C right here, we can divide by 2, but that's the same as multiplying by 0.5. So when we talk about a common ratio, it's what you multiply by to get to the next term. Okay, how can you find the common ratio of a geometric sequence? Okay, so this one, what are we multiplying by every time? It looks like we're multiplying by 5 to get to the next term. This one is by negative 6, and this one is, again, it's by multiplying by 0.5. And an easy way to get these numbers, using the numbers in the list, is take any number and divide by the previous number, the number before it. So for example, 15 divided by 3 is the 5. Negative 42 divided by 7 is negative 6, and 100 divided by 200 is 0.5. So to find a common ratio, take any number and divide by the previous number. Okay, so to summarize, we've looked at two types of sequences: arithmetic, where you add to get to the next number; geometric, where you multiply to get to the next number. Where are my geometric sequences? All right, a common difference is what you add to get to the next term in an arithmetic sequence, and a common ratio is what you multiply by to get to the next term. So you're going to practice these in Delta Math. It's called Day 2 sequences. It's going to ask you, is it arithmetic or geometric? What's the common difference? What's the common ratio? And there's also a few review problems there as well.